Welcome back, bakers. Happy Christmas in July. Today we are going to be making cinnamon sugared nuts. Okay? I love these. I could sit down and eat this entire tray in one sitting, or at least in one day. So first, let me start by saying that to make this recipe, it only requires a few simple ingredients. It costs approximately $6.30 to make. Round up, $7. These sugared nuts make fantastic gifts from the kitchen, for Christmas or any time really. And I know that because every year for Christmas, I make hundreds of different types of cookies, and I go and I bring them and I leave them on the neighbors' doors in little boxes or tins, whatever I buy that year. Well, one of my neighbors has always gifted us a tin, not a little tin, a full-size tin of sugared pecans. And pecan, however you say it. And they were so delicious. So I then was like, okay, I need these more than once a year. So I created this recipe so I can make them whenever I want. Now, you can use any type of nut that you like. Okay, today I'm using walnuts because they're my favorite. You can use those, you can use pecans, almonds, peanuts. Okay, maybe they're not really a nut, but you can use them. Any type of nut that you want, you can use for this recipe. Okay, so let's get started. What I've done is I've preheated my oven to 250 degrees. You like my little Christmas tree? Happy Christmas in July. And if you're watching this at Christmas time during the winter, happy Christmas. And then I have my cookie sheet that I have lined with a parchment paper sheet. Okay, so this is so simple, and you guys know I really don't like getting my hands dirty, which I know is very odd for a baker, and I'm a hairdresser, so both require dirty hands. But because of that, I have a really amazing idea. Okay, and this is how I make these every year, so it works. It's been proven. So this is a gallon-sized Ziploc bag, and we are definitely going to need this. Okay. So here's what we're going to do. I've already opened my walnuts. This is a 12-ounce bag of shelled walnuts, and these are like whole pieces. You really don't want to use the little bits or anything. These are halves, and these work perfectly. You could use whole ones, I suppose, if you wanted to, but I wouldn't particularly use the little bits. And that's just a personal preference. You can. All right? So first, before we start preparing our liquid ingredients, we are going to prepare the dry ingredients on this handy dandy paper plate. Okay? So this is what we're going to do. We are going to take our sugar, our cinnamon, and our salt, and we're going to go ahead and measure everything out into this plate. So this recipe calls for 1 cup of sugar, white sugar, which I've got right here. I'm going to go ahead and put that onto the plate. And then we're going to add our cinnamon, which, oh, I forgot to grab my tablespoon. Look at me. I was all prepared except for that. 1 tablespoon of cinnamon. Yes, I use a lot of cinnamon, so I have the big container. Now, you can deviate from this also. You can add more than a tablespoon of cinnamon if you want to. And you know what? I think I am. I think I'm going to add 1.5. Just because. Why not? All right. And then we're going to add our salt, which is going to be 1 teaspoon of salt. The teaspoon I've already got over here. I never measure my salt over my other ingredients, just in case we have a little accident. Now, the first time I made this recipe, I used a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And I said to myself, it needs more salt. So the next time I made it, I used the whole teaspoon, and it was much better. And I am a huge fan of cinnamon I love the way it tastes. I love the way it smells. I love the health benefits, which is why I added just a little extra cinnamon. But again, you definitely don't have to do that. All right, so I've just given a little mix to our dry ingredients because shortly we're going to dump them onto the nuts in the bag. So I wanted to make sure that one nut wasn't covered by a little cinnamon and one was just covered by sugar without any cinnamon, which is why I went ahead and just mixed everything together onto the plate. Now we're going to set that aside, okay? So in our bag, our Ziploc bag, we are going to add the wet ingredients, okay? Which is going to be 1 egg white, okay? Some vanilla and a little bit of water, all right? Which I've got right here, and I've got my teaspoon ready. So we're going to, actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go ahead and put the vanilla in with the egg white and the water, and then I can just dump it all in the bag at the same time. So this recipe calls for 2 teaspoons of vanilla. I'm just putting it right into that egg white. Put that in there, and it calls for 2 teaspoons of water, which again, we can just go ahead and put right in. So we can put it all in together. All right, done. I'm gonna move that over. We don't need it again. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna add the nuts to the Ziploc bag, the whole bag. Like I said, it's 12 ounces. You can use a pound. I'm going with 12 ounces because I like to make sure that every single walnut is coated with my crunchy cinnamon sugar mix, okay? But again, you can use a whole pound and this recipe would work perfectly. All right, so now I'm gonna take our liquid mixture, which was our egg white, our vanilla, and our water, and I'm gonna pour it right over the walnuts. I'm gonna zip up this bag, and I'm gonna just shake it all together. Definitely, you could do this in a bowl if you wanted to. It's no problem. This is just easy peasy. Did you guys ever make, oh boy. What is it called? Reindeer mix. You know what I'm talking about? And it's like the Chex mix. There's so many different names for that stuff. But I always mix that in a bag too. Muddy Buddies. You know, you take the Chex mix with the chocolate, the peanut butter, the powdered sugar. I think there's butter in there. And you put it all in a bag and you mix it up. Okay, so look, you guys can see the mixture on the inside of the bag. So everything is mixed up really well, okay? So now we're gonna do the same thing with our dry ingredients. I'm gonna take these very carefully, or this very carefully, and I'm gonna pour it into the bag over the coated walnuts. You can bend it a little bit if you want to. Boom. Again, we're gonna zip up our bag, and we're gonna give this, make sure it's zipped, and we're gonna give this a really nice shake up. Just until everything is coated. And like I said, I prefer using the 12 ounces of the walnuts as opposed to the pound, only because I want to make sure that everything is coated. And I have to tell you, I'm looking at it right now, and everything is coated. It looks beautiful. Wait until I pour it out onto the pan. This is like one of the easiest recipes to make, but it's so good. So usually I'll make a batch of this Christmas Eve morning, or maybe even the day before, but every Christmas Eve is when my family celebrates our Christmas. And we're Italian, so we do like the Feast of the Seven Fishes and tons of desserts. And so I always like to make a big batch of these to take over to my sisters or my nieces, depending on where we're going that year, as part of the dessert. And then, if there's any left, my niece can keep them for herself. Okay, so there we have it. I've got a big mess here, guys. Okay, so I am going to now take my spatula, Mary, and I am going to move these out across the pan. You want to make sure that you spread them in a single layer. You really don't want any of the nuts to overlap if possible. And it is possible. It's just going to take a couple of minutes to get them flat, but trust me on this one, okay? Because we definitely want them to bake as evenly as possible. You don't want one of your walnuts to be wet when you put it in your mouth. It just doesn't taste right. All right. We're good. I think we're pretty even here. And two, another one of the benefits of using the 12-ounce bag, they're not particularly crowded on the pan. And this is a big pan. I would say, I think this is a half sheet pan. I love these. They're a little bit more expensive, but they do offer a more even bake, and they're very stable. All right, there we have it. Oh, these look amazing. Okay, so what we're gonna do, we're gonna put them in the oven, and they actually bake an hour. However, set your timer for 15-minute increments, because every 15 minutes we are going to mix these. And if you have to, turn the pan every 15 minutes. But I use a set of tongs to mix them every 15 minutes. Okay, so I'll open the oven, quickly pull it out with an oven mitt, and then I just come in here and I move them all around real quick, put it back in, okay? And that is what we are going to do now. So my oven is preheated. I'm gonna pop these in, and I will show you every 15 minutes what they look like. All right, here we go. Okay, 15 minutes. We'll be back. Okay, friends, here we are. This is our first turn of the walnuts. Oh, wow. It smells so good. So this is all I'm doing. Here, let me make it so you can see. Is I'm coming in and I'm moving them all around. And then I'm going to flatten them back out again to make sure. These, see, those back there are still a bit wet. But this is our only our first 15 minutes. And you want to do it fast because you sure as heck don't want all the warm air leaving the oven. Okay, here we are for mix number 2. So, what I've done, because in all honesty, I thought I was recording, but I was not, is I mixed and then I switched the pan around because see this right here, how it's kind of wet? That was in that back left corner. So I switched the pan around and brought it to the front. And the next time you see these, they will be ready to eat. Okay, so the house smells fabulous. Let me just start by saying that. It's been an hour. I turn them every 15 minutes, and they are absolutely perfect. Let me pick one up and bring it to you so you can take a look. Yum. It's completely coated. And what I like to do is I like to take a tin. Here's a Christmas tin. And I like to take my tongs and fill it up with the nuts. And actually, the reason that I do it like that is because that is how my neighbor always gives them to me. So I am going to go ahead and get all of these delicious walnuts put into this tin. And you better believe I am going to eat a couple. Now, I already tried one. They take, a few seconds to chew, so I'm not going to try another one right now. But I already tried one, and they are delicious. Absolutely delicious. All right? So If you guys have any questions, feel free to leave me any questions in the comments. If you have positive comments about this video, or you have a recipe that you love to use to make something like this, I would love to hear about it. I would love to hear about it. So again, thank you for being here with me. Happy Christmas in July. And I would greatly appreciate it if you would like this video and subscribe to my channel. You can even hit the little bell, and anytime I share something new on my channel, you will be notified. All right, friends, have a fantastic day, and we'll see you soon.